Hi there and welcome back to the Good Tutor Premier Prep SAT course. In this video, we're going to continue our look at the problem solving and data analysis subsection of the SAT math section, and we're going to introduce you to working with percents. All right, so to introduce percents, they represent fractional values while using fractions, and they're actually a type of ratio, right? So a percent is really just a converted fraction. So we say that a percent is equal to part over whole, a numerator over a denominator, times 100%. So to see what that means, let's take this for example. If we have 22 over 100, that's the fraction 22 hundredths, right? And if we actually divide that out, 22 divided by 100, we would get 0.22. So now we have a decimal, right? We started with a fraction, and now we have a decimal. Then, when we multiply by 100%, that decimal place gets moved 2 places to the right? That's the same thing as multiplying by 100. Now we have 22%, and that would be our answer. And that's significant, that last part is significant because that means when we're given a percent, let's say 22%, right? We know that we can just divide by that 100% or move that decimal place 2 places leftward to get back into a decimal, or that 0.22. So that's reversible, right? We can move it 2 to the right, the decimal place 2 to the right, by multiplying by that 100% to get from the decimal into the percent, but we can get back from the percent to the decimal by moving it back left 2 places or dividing by that 100% to get it back into a decimal or more into that part whole that we started with, okay? So that's going to be significant, especially in the next example we're going to do. All right, so let's view this one. It says that a student government representatives polled students in 2 locations around campus on whether they viewed a particular candidate for student body president favorably. At the first location, they asked 125 people, and of those, 22.4% responded favorably. At the second location, 37.5% of 272 people responded favorably. Approximately what percent of all people responded favorably? All right. So I always like to start by looking at what's being asked, right? What percent of all people responded favorably? Let's go ahead and start with that all people. What is all people? Well, they interviewed 125 at the first station and 272 at the second station, which means 397 is the total people. So we'll kind of keep that in our back pocket for later. Now, at that first station, it said, and we'll go at the first station, it said that 22.4% of 125 people that were asked viewed this person favorably, viewed this candidate favorably. Okay, now we need to find how many people, right? How many people at each station viewed the candidate favorably? Because we have percents right now, right? And the second one was 37.5% of 272. So now we have these percentages and we have the total people that were asked, right? But now we need the number of people from each station. So now we'll use that concept that we reviewed a minute ago to turn this percent into a decimal so that we can multiply it by the people that were asked at each station, right? So we'll have to multiply this 22.4% times the 125 to find out how many people at the first station viewed the candidate favorably. So we need to convert 22.4% into a decimal. Remember, we said when we have a percent that needs to be turned back into a decimal, we're going to move that decimal place 2 places to the left or divide by that 100%. And in this case, we'd be left with 0.224. All right. So we've got 0.224 times the number of people asked at that station, which was 125, right? So 125. So 24% or 0.224 times 125 should be 28 people. Now, if you want to go ahead and pause the video and do the same thing, convert 37.5 into a decimal and multiply it by 272, or the number of people at the second station, we'll find out how many people there at the second station approved of this political candidate or this student body president candidate. All right, so when we do the same thing for this one, we have 0.375. That's what happens, right? If we move that decimal place 2 places to the left, 0.375 times 272, which was the number of people asked at that station, There's a multiplication sign there. So 0.375 times 272 will equal 102 for that station. All right, so now we need to find how many people between the two stations found this political candidate favorable, which means we'll just add the 28 people from the first station and the 102 from the second station. And that will be 130 people in total. Out of how many people that were asked? Well, look, now we already have that from the beginning, right? So 130 out of the 397. And when you divide that out, that will be our answer. So 130 divided by 397 gets us 0.327. That's our decimal, which of course when we multiply by 100 or move that decimal 2 to the right to get a percent, just like we learned in the last slide, we see that D is our correct answer, or about 32.7% of people in all viewed this candidate favorably. All right, that is it for this video, and in the next video, we're going to be looking at percent change.